forgot to set a announcement that I was going to be going live. I apologize. My cat's here saying hi. So if people don't have time to show up, that's understandable. We'll see who pops in. We're going to take a quick peek at the YouTube world to see if anyone's going live. I figure, you know what, if I'm going to share my live time with other people on YouTube, then I want to be able to shout them out, bring them up, have them up and running as we go. I know very often our friend Noble has a live session at a similar time, live stream at a similar time. So I want to make sure that if he's up, at the very least, I can have him up and running, get him some watch hours. I see actually that he is up and he is announcing a game. So we'll have that running. Hey, our friend Holgo is here saying hello. And how are you? I'm doing good. How about you? Just doing a quick hello to him. Let him know that I'm watching. I'll go say that he's good. What's new? Just seeing what else is going on. It is a hot day here. Another day in the 90s. Tomorrow it's going to cool off and only be in the 70s. Saturday, back into the 50s, believe it or not. Olga said, did you end up looking at the profile? I didn't. I need to, though. For some reason, sometimes your channel doesn't always come up for me. I don't know why. Olga says, nothing much, still sculpting, but I did do something I haven't done in a while. What'd you do? Our friend Smitty, he's up and running as well. I'm not going to keep him up. I'm going to say hi. When I first started viewing Smitty's channel, I think he only had a little over 100 or so subscribers. He is now at 1,500 and 1,056. He's worked hard. He's worked hard putting together a really good channel. Olga says, usually I sculpt things in great detail, but this time I did it with very little detail. For what reason? Any particular reason, or just to see how it goes? I'm bringing Spinny up to my community page. Hey, one thing I need to check out. um, is IFNHU and his pup. Holger says, well, for the reasons of imagination. I'd be interested in hearing you explain that. Sorry if I seem a bit distracted. I'm not really. I just want to get some of our friends a little bit of recognition while we're up here. Helga says because the cool thing with little detail, anyone can see it differently. Hey, that's true. That's an excellent point. What I see as an arm, you might see as, I don't know, a wing. This is true. I always like leaving certain things up to the interpretation of others. Every so often, I'm asked to explain um, something that I've written, and I'm always hesitant to do so because I'd rather let people. What's the meaning that you get? That's more important to me than me telling you what it is, because meaning is subjective. It's yours. It's not mine. Um, Hopefully, I made the meaning relatively self-evident in the writing process itself. Um, and then after that, it belongs to whoever happens to come across to read it. Sorry, I'm saying hi to my cat. So, yep, I definitely understand that, Hugo, and that's pretty interesting. Our friend K Renee's Garden says, "Hey Yogi in chat." Kay, how are you? Um, Kay, you know what? Hugo and I are talking a bit about art. I see a lot of art in gardening. That it's a medium. It's a medium of earth and sunlight and water that the gardener gets to participate in. I wonder if you have any thoughts on the art of gardening. Kay says, "I'm great. How are you both doing?" I'm doing pretty good. I'm surprisingly sleepy from the interval workout. Duncan made me step up my game a bit. He called me out. Um, him and it is what it is. Um, and it's funny because I'm not sore. I'm not overly fatigued, but man, I feel sleepy. Of course, it's not too far from my actual bedtime. Olga says, but the thing about my new profile is the sculptor has a meaning behind it. Olga says he's very good. Kay says, I believe there's definitely art in gardening. So I'm actually interested in hearing both the meaning that Holgo has in his new profile sculptor and Kay's views on the art of gardening. I like that sound. It would be a good book, The Art of Gardening. I mean, of course, flowers. I always thought, you think of flower arrangement, and um, it's something that people do as a florist. But there's, I think, an art of flower arrangement um, outside around your house. My parents were really good at that. And I enjoy the fact that they planted stuff. You know, I mentioned before, I'm living in the house that I grew up in, and they have flowers that come up every year that they planted decades and decades ago. And it's just a really nice reminder of my parents and how much they enjoyed doing that kind of work. I'm bringing up something on my computer real quick. I'll go. Have you thought about? I know I mentioned this to you before. Um, like a larger display of your stuff on the YouTube channel. I have I have it up now. I'd love to see um, a larger print of it. I mean, you could actually do the sculptor and then take a photo, um, and maybe enlarge it a bit, and then just have the photo on display on Facebook. That'd be pretty awesome. I don't want to be presumptuous, you know, that my own view, because of with my writing, is my writing is complete when I share it. And then once it's out there, it belongs to whoever. It no longer has my concern. Um, but again, that's just my view. Everyone has a different view of art. Um, Kay says, you ought to a lot of figuring out what can be planted together. Companion planting, adding beautiful flowers and plants other than veggies is a whole thing to get things done. Interesting. Hey, Kay, have you heard of the Three Sisters? The a lot of the Algonquin tribes from the Mid-Atlantic up to uh, the far northeast, as well as some of the slight Midwestern, I think up to like Ohio, maybe even over to Indiana. Um, they would plant corn, beans, and squash in a creative way. So, and they'd plant them together so that they would grow in support of each other. Sort of one thing, we should look that up. I'll go, I like that sculptor, but I can't see the lack of detail that you mentioned as much because being a little bit smaller. We're going to look up the Three Sisters. Helga says, well, let me describe the sculpt is based on a dirt bare area with dead bushes and thorns, and in the middle is a skull, but when the skull is a flower. I like that description. I like a flower blooming in bareness. There's a teaching from Buddhism. I forget the name of the disciple. The Buddha gave a silent sermon, didn't say a word, but he held out a flower and smiled. And only one person understood. And Buddha gave him the flower, and his follower became enlightened just from that act. And I sort of like that, the bareness, and then a flower coming out of it. Kay says, I meant put not out. Autocorrect kills me. Yeah, I try to decipher things when it looks like it might be a little off, because I figure autocorrect. Lyle Lillywort says, badass breakfast burrito from DD for the win. Where's DD? I'm glad you're enjoying your badass breakfast burrito. Man, if you're going to have a breakfast burrito, it better be badass. There's no point in having a burrito if it's not going to be a badass. Who wants a suck-ass burrito? Who wants to take a bite of their burrito and go, man, what the hell? Squirrel Sniper is back. Greetings again, Eric in chat. Hey, speaking of artists, I'm looking forward to seeing the chainsaw art of our friend Squirrel Sniper. Okay, I'd love to see an artistic presentation of your garden. Just like a YouTube tour. So this is from the National Agricultural Library. The Iroquois and the Cherokee called corn, bean, and squash the three sisters because they nurture each other like family when planted together. These agriculturists place corn in small hills, planting beans around them, and interspersing squash throughout the field. That's ingenious when you think about it. That's exactly what our friend Kay just said. I should have waited and just read her description because it's awesome. Yes, definitely a great combo. The corn supports the beans, also provides shade. Nice. Olga says, oh, that's not the sculpt with the lack of details. Oh, okay. I do like the sculptor, though. I do like the sculpt, I guess, would be the better. Olga says it symbolizes the that even in the most horrid places, there's always beauty. You just have to look for it. That's beautiful symbolism. Absolutely. We got some laughing emojis from Kay Renee's garden. It is what it is here. Hello, YouTube family. Says hi to Kay, says hi to me. Speaking of artists, it is what it is. Every single rep is a work of art. Kay says, absolutely, I will do a tour tomorrow morning just for you, Yogi. Oh, that's awesome. And incredibly gracious of you. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. Kay says, hey to Lewis. And it is what it says. It is what it is, says, appreciate that, Eric. Hey, you know, because we're talking about art, and I honestly do think that your burpees are a work of art. Let me ask you a question about that, Lewis. Did you, did that come naturally for you, or did you have to work on your form? Sometimes it's either or with some people. Some people think this is the form I have, and that's it. Other people work on it and work on it and work on it. I worked on mine just a little. Not so much for, I wanted to be more streamlined in my approach. I absolutely love thinking that you can make your way through life as an artist. Everything presents itself as a work of art. Look at the symbolism that Holgo just mentioned with his sculpt. Absolutely amazing. And Kay with her garden. Lewis says, definitely had to work on the form. I do. It's definitely paid off. As I mentioned before, best reps in the game. It is what it is. Says I learned from Moses, but Moses hits himself 3 times. I just do two movements before going down. Yeah, you got to make it your own. That's for sure. For different reasons. You can make it your own for self-expression. Make it your own because it just feels better, because it works better for you. It is what it is. Says it took me about 2 weeks to learn. I kept watching over and over until I got it right. I understand that. I am still getting my nature shorts right because it's a little tiny handheld. It's called a power zoom, Canon power zoom. Um, I got to give another shout out to Mocha. Gave it to me for an early birthday present. But my birthday was 2 weeks ago. She gave it to me like the beginning of April. Um, Absolutely love it. But there's times when you lose the view. You have it on something, and by the time you get the camera up, you lost it. And you got to put it on, um, and then because it's small and handheld, there's going to be some shakiness involved. And I've gotten some comments of you need to learn to edit, um, which is probably good advice. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it um, for lots of reasons. One, I'm lazy as all hell, man. Um, Two, I don't like editing. Three, the what I'm doing with the nature shorts, um, I don't view myself as an observer of what I'm filming. I view everything. I'm a participant. I'm a participant with whatever it is that's in front of me and around me. The sounds, you'll hear traffic, you'll hear airplanes, and the shakiness is part of it. The finding it again is part of it. Um, that's the process of art. The process of art is the art itself, from my interpretation of it. It is what it is. Says rocking chair was confusing at first, but then I realized it's just a movement. Yeah, you definitely blend it together in one seamless motion. And Lewis says, don't forget to hit the like button for our host. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I've mentioned before, I actually had a long talk on the Japanese concept of wabi sabi, which is funny just saying it, but um, it's the inherent transience of whatever you're displaying. So if a bowl breaks, it's put back together very often with a gold bond so that a golden line, appears within the mended vase or cup or whatever it is, um, which actually highlights the brokenness. Everything breaks, and it becomes more beautiful because it broke. The mistakes that are in there, or the seeming flaw, is part of the beauty and part of the art. I think about that, although it's better now. When my shoulder was really jacked up, and I was still doing burpees every day, and without fail, someone would come by and say, "Man, your shoulder's jacked up. Um, you need to not do it that way." Of course, that's the only way my body could do it because my shoulder was messed up. The flaw was part of the rep. You know what I mean? I got a shoulder that I hurt 1990 something. Um, I'm just happy that it allows me to do reps every single day. Um, and being messed up is part of it. Oddly enough, the nasal breathing seemed to help fix my shoulder. I have no idea why. Don't question it. I'm just happy that it does. Milka McCarty was here. I just spoke your name 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. Absolutely nothing good to say. I actually was shouting to is that Celine Uger 69? I apologize if I said your name wrong. Are you a holy man? No, not really. I could explain it in a sense, saying we're all holy, which we are, but am I a holy man by like a title or something of significance, something special? Absolutely not. I am a flawed human being, but a perfect acceptance of my flaws, if that makes sense. Mocha says, I'm wearing red shirt too, and not twinsies. We are twinsies. I have my hand up. Right now, if I said twinsies, Mocha would high five me. Mocha has never high fived me. Not even at the end of my 100-mile race. I ran up to her, I put my hand up for a high five, and she was like, I knew you could do it. I was actually giving you another shout out for the wonderful and perfect gift of the camera. Salina, right? I think that's right. Salina KS, born 1969. I got you by 4 years, my friend. I was born in 1965. Older than dirt. See that? Mocha says I would not high five you. So little things in life, my friends. All I've ever wanted was a high five. Seems like it's just a small thing to want out of life. Someone to give me a high five. All right. It is what it says. Eric is the holiest of the holiest. If you put a W in front of that, that might be true. Or if you know, let's see. I don't know. So Selena says, what is your gig? I don't really have a gig. Just talking, putting stuff out there. Seeing where it goes. It is what it is, says Mocha. High five. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but it did. You know, no, Mocha can vouch for that. I smile a lot, but it's not often I like really laugh out loud for whatever reason. So for something to actually make me laugh out loud on camera, on YouTube, in front of ones and twos of people, says a whole lot. You've accomplished something that few people have, but that really made me laugh. As did Mocha's reply of never. Such a small thing to ask for. Holger says, I'd give you a high five, but my hands are full of wax. But you know what? At least you offered. I appreciate that. Mocha says, well, that's interesting. Which part is interesting? So I was mentioning, the shakiness and the looking for stuff with the camera being part of the artwork. I should explain that then. Or Holger, you can explain it to Mocha. It is what it says, probably the hand wax. Yep. Holger is a sculptor, and he uses the wiki sticks and working with wax to get him in the position that he wants. And he just offered a wonderful explanation of what he did. Several. One, he was talking about doing one with lack of detail, so it could be open to interpretation of other things, other people, and then having in a barren dirt patch, but with a flower coming up in it. It's actually, the explanation is above. It is what it is. See. But even with hand wax, he would still offer to give a high five. Uh, Selena says, you have books, bookstores, and mag racks are disappearing everywhere. They were, and now uh, are there no more. That's a sad state of affairs. And you know what? Even in some of the big bookstore chains like Barnes and Noble, um, they don't offer as many books anymore. The last few times Mocha and I have been to our favorite bookstore, it's more like a toy store that offers some books instead of an actual bookstore. Um, Shelf after shelf and topic after topic just disappear. It's a shame. Olga says, yeah, wiki sticks are yarn covered in wax. It's impressive that you saw um, a medium, an artistic expression um, with that Holgo, and then just took it and ran with it. Honestly, it's actually one of the more impressive things I've heard in a long time. Holgo says the only time I buy books are at reptile shows. I would guess that the selection is fairly specific. You're probably not going to buy a Louis L'Amour book at a reptile show. Just a guess. I'm looking forward to now that the weather's hotter. I mentioned today and yesterday we're both hit 90. That you should be in. I should be seeing some snakes crossing my path, um, and get some film of that, as well as early mornings. I should be seeing some frogs and toads. And I got lucky with one of the big turtles. Just came out of nowhere. I was filming some of the smaller turtles in a pond, and one of the really big turtles got to be, this one's got to be 30 or 40 pounds, but I think the biggest ones are well over 50, and they have to be 30, 40 years old, if not older. I'm looking forward to getting those. Selena says, music. What say you of the music today, now generation? I think it's perfectly suited for them, but not my cup of music, or not much of it. Of course, having said that, there's an underground scene in almost every genre where people are putting out some good stuff. There's some new country music now that is back to actually being country music. You never hear it on the radio, unless you're listening to an alternative station. But it's nice to know that there are people of this generation who aren't just doing corporate stuff. And of course, man, corporate music has been around since there's been corporations and music. I get it. People want to make money, but it's such a shame to sell your artistic soul for, to a record label just for a profit. And even worse, Milka's heard me talk about this before, having studios and corporations literally form a band just to make money. And that was really big in the 70s and 80s. Corporate rock. But yeah, most of it isn't to my taste, but and I don't like talking badly about what other people like. But I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more bite to it. I think that what this generation needs in a time of turmoil and all kinds of stuff going around, there doesn't seem to be a soundtrack to it. Think of each generation, uh, In the 40s, you had the swing era, and it fit for that World War II mentality when people needed to be lifted up. In the 50s, the birth of rock and roll, you had uh, blues and rockabilly. Of course, blues has been around forever. Great jazz from 1920s onwards. Um, and then in the 60s was all about a musical soundtrack. 70s disco, 80s new wave, and a host of other stuff. 70s also had the birth of punk. Some might say the 60s. I would actually say the 60s. Maybe dating all the way back to the Kinks. Um, in the 90s, you had, everyone talks about the love of 90s hip hop. Um, so, yeah, music's something I love to talk about, as well as books. So you hit on some great topics, Selena. Olga says, well, yes and no. People sell more than just reptiles. There are some just do merchandise. One time I bought a book about Rocky Mountain wildflowers. Wow, at a reptile show. I read it every morning with my coffee. That's nice. I stand corrected. I gladly stand corrected. It's nice that you can find something like that. Olga says, I only listen to old music. And Salinger is also speaking my language. I loved country and western when it was Haggard and not Paisley. I agree. But I like going all the way back. I grew up listening to country music that my dad loved, and we're talking Sons of the Pioneers and the original country music bands. The original Hank Williams as well. Hank number 1. Hank number 2 as well. And you know what? Hank number 3 even puts out some good stuff. I don't know why that makes me feel good thinking that our friend Holgo is looking at wildflowers of the Rocky Mountains while drinking coffee. Just seems like a particularly cool thing to do. What type of old music do you listen to, Holga? Laradox is here. Hello again. Laradox, how are you? Appreciate you stopping by and saying hello. Hank and Kitty and String Bean. String Bean, I don't know. Hank and Kitty, I do. I like country music all the way up to, in the 80s it started losing a bit for me. I did like Randy Travis. 80s had some good people. In the 90s, with the rise of Garth Brooks, it started losing it a bit for me. Nothing against Garth Brooks, but Mocha says, I'm in class, or I'd have plenty of say about music. You would. We can high five on that. That's for sure. Right now, Mocha is holding her hand up to her camera, and we're literally doing a long distance high five. And we're doing that in honor of our friend. It is what it is. Holger says 60s and before, it doesn't really matter what genre. I'm with you on that. Well, I throw in some 70s stuff. I like 80s. Oddly enough, there was a lot of 80s stuff I didn't appreciate in the 80s because I was stuck in my Grateful Dead ways. But I've grown to appreciate it more and more. Although there was also a lot of stuff in the 80s that I did like. And of course, in the 70s, I did like punk. Laradox says, I like the 2010s and 80s music. 80s music was very, really genius in a lot of ways. And a little of today. music. Zellinger says, with all due respect, Hee Haw couldn't make it today, as the only cast member it had of color was the dog. Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe it would make it on a small. The Johnny Cash show, late '60s and early '80s, had some great musical guests. One of my first times seeing Bob Dylan perform live, and I later did see him perform live. He opened up for the Grateful Dead, which I always thought was weird. I absolutely love the Grateful Dead, but Bob Dylan, you know, in a class of his own. Olga says I like those as well, but if we're talking about what I listen to more, it makes sense. I'm a big jazz fan. My jazz education continues to grow. Although it's been not quite as much in the past few months. Laradox says, should I get one of those smartphones, Yogi? They're expensive, but I might just have a flip phone because they're cheap. I got a smart-ish phone. It's not a brilliant phone. It's a slightly educated phone. Um, it seems to me the more money I spend on a phone, the more complicated it is, and the less I enjoy it, as I don't like complicated things. So, especially like gadgets. I think if you're happy with your phone, if it does the job you want it to do, uh, stick with it. But if there's things that you need to get done and a phone would help you, uh, then I'd go with that direction. But just to have it because everyone does, I didn't have a cell phone. Actually, Mocha got me my first cell phone. Um, they had been around for quite some time, and it never even occurred to me to get one. I'd be interested to hear what you decide to do, though, Paradox. Our friend Destiny is here. Destiny says, hello and blessings, just Yogi and is doing burpees in his basement. Destiny, how are you? I'm happy to see you. Salinger says, I saw um, Bob and Johnny sing together on his show. Girl from the North Country. Beautiful song. One of my favorite Dylan songs. And Johnny Cash absolutely did it justice. Lorodox says, I think I'll stick with a flip phone. Yeah, you know what? Like, upgrading just for the sake of upgrading never did much for me. I've been using a desktop computer for man, it's been well over 10 years. This is what, 2024? Yeah, it's been about 10 years, maybe even older. I've had it repaired a few times, but I like old things. Being an old guy, I like old things. Tessie says, hello, Eric. I'm doing great. How are you? And how is your day going? My day's going pretty good. Had a tough Duncan Walsh inspired workout that I did live, and I don't often do live stream burpee videos. I save that for the all-time greats to do it. But since it was Duncan Walsh inspired, Duncan Walsh as well as it is what it is, because they both sort of ganged up on me a little bit. Lordak says, Yogi, I'm well rich and life's been pretty good. That's awesome, and you deserve it. A good person with a good heart. deserving all the riches that life can offer you. I'm taking my little, soon to be corrected by mocha, ashwang, and melatonin. Holgo says, and I think I remember you saying, and I quote, I should be kept 10-mile radius away from any electronic. That's absolutely true. I did say that. Did I say it earlier today or did I say it yesterday? And I'm not just talking about my electronics. I should be kept away from other people's electronics. I shouldn't be allowed to touch anything that has a power cord or a battery. That includes toasters, blenders. I got a new single-serving coffee maker because I only have 1 cup a day. And I'm not sure if I like it or not. 1, I miss the sound of a teapot. 2, I miss the taste of instant coffee. And 3, it doesn't, from the coffee maker, it's not very hot. It's warm. And I like my coffee at my desk when I'm writing. And I like having it cool down. I write and I take a sip. I write and I take a sip. When it's like lukewarm like that, I end up taking a gulp. And it messes with my writing cadence. I think when you're a writer, and probably other mediums as well, you fall into that pattern, that creative pattern, where everything just seems to feed into the next thing. Olga says yesterday, I believe. They're words for me to live by. Salinger says, Bob holds a weird place in my being, as I finally found out that he wrote a song I heard played by a young man late at night. What's that, 1075? And what I heard was a music pirate station out of Branson, Missouri. Man, music pirate stations back in the day were completely awesome. Hearing things you'd never heard before and having your world split wide open. Just wondering, where has this sound been my entire life? Bob Dylan was one of them. For me, it was hearing the 45 of Blowing in the Wind. And then later, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. And I thought, this is just amazing music. And I was pretty young. And of course, listening to my cousin's album, the Beatles 1965. That moment, I might have been 8 years old. I became a lifetime Beatles fan. Destiny says, Eric, have you ever tried mushroom coffee? I haven't, but you know what? The ads have been popping up really frequently on Instagram. And I thought about that. It's supposed to be very good for inflammation and other stuff as well. Although I'm hesitant to mess with my coffee, as I used to drink it through the day, so it didn't matter if I had a cup that wasn't as good. But since I only have 1 cup a day and it's at 4 o'clock in the morning, I've grown a little more selective. Lardax says, I'll pop back in. Lardax out for now. See you later. See you, Lardax. I appreciate you being here. The Ballad of Hollis Brown. I'm trying to recall it. I might have to bring it up on YouTube. I definitely will before the end of the night. Desi says, please don't forget to hit the like button and share out the host's channel if you haven't already. Thanks for coming and much love. Thank you for that, Destiny. Man, pirate radio stations. And again, here in you guys remember the um, Midnight Special TV show? That was one of the better ones. Although surprisingly, you could get some good stuff even from more mainstream. And of course, the Smother Brothers. Destiny says bye to Laradox and by Bob Dylan. I knew Dylan. I'm just trying to recall the song in my head. And Dylan is still creative in his 80s. Don't let people tell you that creativity dries up when he gets older. I think it just gets deeper, with Leonard Cohen being a prime example of that. Leonard Cohen is also a bit of a spiritual hero of mine. He's someone that in the 70s, 80s spent, I think it was 7 years in a Zen monastery in California. A very astute practitioner of Zen Buddhism, but he never quite got what he needed. Midnight Special in concert, Don Kirshner's rock concert. Yeah. Olga says, all right, I'm going to wash my hands and start cooking. I'll still be here, but I'll probably respond a lot less. All right, appreciate you keeping it up and running. Enjoy your dinner. Yeah, he never quite found the peace that he was looking for through Zen. Later in life, he came across a book by Ramesh Belskar, if I'm saying his last name correctly, who was a interpreter and disciple of Nisargadatta Maharishi, who wrote I Am That. And just through the words of the book that he read, I believe it was Consciousness Speaks, which is one of the big books of Balaskar, Ramesh Balaskar. He felt a lightness of being. And then later he went to hear him talk, and he stayed with him, and he finally found the peace that he had been looking for. Destiny says, thanks for keeping the live stream playing as you cook your dinner, Talgo. Yeah, I really do appreciate that gesture, as well as you offering a thanks for that, Destiny. It's funny when I think about people who come into the chat. If I were offered the ability to handpick people that I'd want to have a discussion with, it would be the people who show up in my chat every time. And the people that I've developed a great spiritual bond and friendship with. Salanagur says, whereabouts are you? I'm on the East Coast, United States, in state of Maryland. Right in the central part of Maryland. How about you? Olga says, but if there's one thing I don't like about working with wax, it doesn't wash off with water. You have to rub it out for 10 minutes with a cloth or something. Yeah, I could see how that'd be a stubborn thing to get off the hands. And the secret that Ramesh Balansar got, or gave, or passed on to Leonard Cohen, was the simplicity of the message from Nisargadatta Maharishi, which is, you are that. You are what you're searching for. You are the presence. You are the emptiness as well as the fulfillment. All right there. Nothing fancy has to be done. Just that simple realization. Salinger says, I'm in Nebraska? Oh, Kansas City. NE, Kansas City, Missouri. Home of the Chiefs. Congratulations to you. Supposedly, Kansas City fans take their tailgating so seriously that you see and smell the smoke from the barbecues, from the cookouts, from like miles away. Salinger 69 says Alpha and Omega. Yes, sir. Destiny says, Eric, thanks for sharing your live discussions and also for sharing helpful information and wisdom. Thank you. I appreciate that, Destiny. More importantly, I like the fact that I get people up here who will share their wisdom with me. And then I get to keep learning. Prono, I don't know the word. I don't recognize the word. I could Google it since I have my handy Google machine up here in front of me. Oh, that was an oops. It might mean something. Could be the secret we've all been looking for. Accidentally showing up. Synchronistic event. So we've been talking earlier a lot about art as well. A great conversation with Kay Renee's Garden about the art of gardening. Salinger says that send button goes off. Yeah, phones have a habit of sensitivity, I guess. And you know what? And I was talking about the art of burpees, how it is what it is, the champ, how he brings an artistic expression. My friend Holgo is a very talented artist, but I would be remiss, especially now that we have our friend Destiny here, not to mention the art of treadmill dancing. But not just that. Destiny, you bring a artistic sensitivity to all of your movements, from the treadmill dancing to your jump roping. All of it seems naturally artistically expressed. You know, and when I watch before you do the shorts, when I watch you on the treadmill moving, it's almost like you are listening to music only you can hear, that you're in tune with the symphony of the universe itself and move into that. Even as you're talking and offering an explanation, you have that joy to the dance moves. To me, that's an awesome, awesome quality to have. Destiny says, I found the secret to to life for me, which is living life full and dying empty, giving it away. Life is too short not to enjoy it and not to create more successes in life for yourself and others to enjoy. And you definitely live that message fully. And to me, that's another another form of art. It is pronounced sa-line-a, and la, a girl. You know what? I'll probably remember the sa-line-a, and I'll practice it. I might mess up the gur. Sa-line-a. So I apologize for that. I'll be honest with you. I mention it almost every time. Have a horrible time pronouncing names. It is a struggle. So if you don't mind the struggle, I appreciate it. Salina. I've been working on it. I do work on the names that I have difficulty pronouncing. Generally speaking, if it's a word that I can't pronounce, I leave it alone, or I say it and mispronounce it, and I don't worry about it. I just keep on moving on. But if it's a name or a channel, then I try to practice it because out of respect for that person. But like, you know, I mispronounce Sanskrit words all the time. And I tell people it's mispronounced. Don't worry about it. Don't tell me it's mispronounced because they already know that it's mispronounced. Or go ahead and tell me if you want, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to mispronounce it. Not because I don't care, just because it's difficult for me. But again, with names and channels, out of respect, I do my best to get it right. I don't always, so I offer an apology. So I'll probably stick with Salina, because it says Salina, Kansas is my birthplace. I haven't heard of that. Destiny says, thanks, Eric, for analyzing me on the treadmill. 90% of the time, I am in another zone and not aware fully of what I'm doing. It's the best kind of dancing. And the fact that you can do that and get your message across so well and promote fitness at the same time is absolutely amazing. Larodox says, so something crazy is the creator of the Jeep vehicle is my uncle. No joke. Wow. Creator of the Jeep. That is pretty amazing. Destiny says, please don't leave without leaving your thumbprint on the like button for the host. Thank you for that reminder. Larodox says he created the name and, well, look at it. Look it up. It's a cool story. I will. You know, I never thought. I never thought about it. How did Jeep get to be named Jeep? Huh. Name comes from the letter GP, military abbreviation for general purpose. Interesting. Paradox says, I know it's hard to believe, but as a Christian, I swear as a Christian that he's my uncle. Oh, I don't doubt you at all. I don't doubt you at all. I appreciate you sharing that with us. My cat is here saying hi. Carl Propst, according to Wikipedia, talented freelance designer from Detroit. After turning down Bantam's initial request, Propst responded to an army request and began work. Well, again, I appreciate you sharing that. Desi says that she will be back. Olga says, "What's your cat's name?" Well, they're 12 years old. I adopted them from a shelter. There's two of them, sisters, two black cats, and I wasn't in the market for cats, but Mocha was at a shelter, and one of the people working there said they were worried about the cats because, for one, people don't tend to like black cats, um, and that no one was going to want to adopt two. They'd been together for 10 years, sisters, um, and she was afraid they'd get separated. So, um, this is at a low point in my life. It was after I mentioned before, I was a caregiver for my father, and I was a caregiver a critical caregiver in his later years. He passed away. I was with him when he passed away. Um, Hardest and best thing I've ever done in my life was to be there and hold my father's hand. Um, so, um, anyway, when I heard that story, and I felt the need, it would be nice to have, some cat company. It had been a while because my father was using a cane. We were afraid that we didn't want to get another cat when our last cat passed away because we were afraid it might be a tripping hazard for my father. My father loved cats and dogs, but we were just afraid. We didn't want any unnecessary harm. So when I heard that story, I was like, well, we got to bring them in. And I'm happy that we did. And they came with names that I don't really recall. So we have Black Cat and the other Black Cat. And I don't know which is the Black Cat and which is the other Black Cat. Um, but it's a very long-winded story for a really simple question. Two female cats. Mocha says they were originally named Oinks, Unks, Onyx. I knew it would come out eventually, and Opal. Silent Line, you see what I mean about having trouble with names. I guess I could have said, hey, Mocha, what were the cats' names? And saved Holgo uh, from having to listen to that um, really long story. Laradox says, okay, so this is also crazy, but have you heard of Robert E. Lee? I have heard of Robert E. Lee. So, yeah, they were originally named Onyx and Opal. From now on, though, they're the Black Cat and the other Black Cat. Or maybe they're the other Black Cat and the Black Cat. Um, Laradox says, and by the way, the creator of Jeep is actually my uncle's dad, or something like that. Whoever he is, he's a very close relative. Well, even your uncle's dad would be your great uncle. So, it's still in line with the uncle. That's a great story. Laradox says, please, I'm trying to collect subs. All right, I'm on it. I will do that. Going to your channel right now. Laradox has 334 subscribers and now she officially has 335 subscribers. Um, I don't know how to drop links. I apologize, but um, every so often we get people who do know how to drop links, and I will have your link dropped. But I will mention, hey, if you guys could subscribe to Laradox, that would be awesome. Laradox says, okay, Robert E. Lee is also a direct family member, but I can't exactly say where he is in my family due to personal information. Huh, interesting. And interesting that you can't say because of personal reasons. And I'm not going to pry. Supposedly, somewhere down the line, I'm related to Billy the Kid, whose real name was Henry McCarty. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else even remotely famous. Holga says, great uncles, I have a great relationship with mine. He taught me everything I know about carpentry, along with cooking and axe throwing. All excellent skills. I had a great relationship with a number of my great uncles. They, two of whom fought in World War II and liberated uh, some of the concentration camps, would never talk about it. It was just too horrendous for them. As well as my father was in the tail end of World War II. He dropped out of school when he was 17 and ended up on a minesweeper in the South Pacific, just at the tail end of the war. Lordox says it's not you. I'm not giving info about it. It's anyone else. He might get info. Understandable. Lordox says you're not a stranger to me anymore. Not a stranger, just strange. I know what you're thinking. I appreciate that, and yeah, you're definitely a friend. I definitely appreciate you being here. Eric Lapointe is here. Eric, how are you? Eric says, nice. I know the #1 axe thrower in the world. Well, man, brushes with fame. And you know what? I love those sort of obscure brushes um, with fame. I'm Facebook friends with Van Morrison's ex-wife. How's that for a very obscure? I'm also friends with, I know I can't remember his name, Facebook friends, I should say. Let me go to my Facebook real quick. George Walker. George Walker is the last person to spend time with Neil Cassidy from It's on the Road fame, Jack Kerouac, who passed away on a train track in Mexico after a heavy bout of drinking and drugs. George Walker, who was considerably younger, was a teenager back then, teenage hippie, was with him and woke up and discovered his body passed away. And Ken Kesey's son, I'm friends with him. I'm also friends with Bob Weir's sister, Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead. Facebook friends, for whatever that is worth. So tell us about the #1 axe thrower in the world. Olga says, if I didn't have my great uncle, I don't think I would have become a carpenter. Man, that those type of connections are everything. That generational connections. I think of my grandfather, who at the time was crippled, couldn't get around at all, and passed away when I was 7. But the memories I have of sitting sitting on a furnace next to his chair, in front of a window. This is in Western PA, looking out at the huge garden that my grandmother kept, and he would point out birds, plants, animals that would come by, and just talk about their habits and how they grew. Just important memories. Eric LaPointe says, wow. Laradoc says, I mean Yogi, not Eric. Understood, my friend. Eric LaPointe says, it was David Gear. He has passed now, but he was the best that ever was. #1 lumberjack in the world for years. He was a food guy. Impressive. I remember watching Ed Ames on The Tonight Show. If you remember, Ed Ames played, I don't remember the name of the Native American he played on the old Daniel Boone show. And he was, in the show, he would throw an axe. That was his weapon of choice. And he went on The Tonight Show to demonstrate. No idea why I remember that, other than the fact that I loved the Daniel Boone show as a kid. Fetty, am I saying that right? Says hi. Hello? Hello, my friend, how are you? Appreciate you being here. And Holgo says, all right, the stew's cooking. I can now chat more frequently. Good. So, one more little shout out. Our friend Laradox. If you guys visit her channel, subscribe, like. She has a hot sauce challenge. She's got some jokes in her page. Some interesting facts. The longest anyone has ever went without sleeping. Don't click on this video, which of course means as soon as I'm off the air, I'm going to click on this video. Lizard talk. So, Hago, you might appreciate that. Is water wet? Well, that's some interesting stuff. Paradox, have you ever thought about doing a live? Eric LaPointe says, I remember, and David Gear was on Johnny Carson. It's back then, I don't think they do it as often anymore. Now it's all just mainline celebrities. Maybe Stephen Colbert is a little different. But yeah, back then they would have all kinds of interesting people from average America who did some extraordinary things, or things that seemed extraordinary, and have them on the Tonight Show. And Eric says, yes, I agree. All kinds. It seems we become more specialized in all kinds of stuff in life. From entertainment, you know, we were talking music earlier, and even music, it seems overly produced, not organic, not something that just springs from the soul the way music is supposed to. Or maybe I'm just old. Of course, both can be true. Olga says, I don't think I ever watched that. Yeah, it went off the air. He retired in 19 like 91 or 92, and Jay Leno took over. I sort of lost interest, and I got older, and David Letterman seemed infinitely more hip and cool. Eric Lapointe, I just subscribed to your channel. Um, you had mentioned that you might eventually um, put some stuff out. So just on the odd chance that you do. Our friend Destiny is back. Good. We're actually going to talk for about 10 more minutes. 5-10 more minutes. I got to get ready, shut things down for the night. This was a great chat tonight because we covered everything from art, creativity, music, um, axe throwing, cats, Mocha's refusal to ever high five me. But man, talking one of the things I love when Holgo shows up, uh, being able to talk creativity. Holgo is a sculptor, I've mentioned before, um, and with a very innovative and creative approach to what he's doing. Holgo says it really has been a really good chat. Thanks, man. You guys make it for sure. I'm just a guy reading comments. And I feel extremely fortunate to have people like you guys, a diverse group of people. So I'm looking forward to when Eric Lapointe does expand his channel. And same with Holgo. I don't know if that's his plan or not. I'd like to put it out there, but I don't want to. I don't want to be pushy about anything. I just get enthusiastic about artists and art, and I think what he's doing is really cool. As does Eric Lapointe. He says that's cool stuff, Holgo. It really is. Man, I love people who can think outside of the box like that, and then present it. Just amazing. It's the same thing I mentioned before when I discovered Destiny Forever Walks PhD. I knew that this person was aligned with the universe. She was hearing that music, the music of the spheres, for lack of a better expression, or maybe that is the best expression to use. And that's why I also encourage everyone, please check out our friend Laradox. But yeah, as I mentioned, I really do feel blessed to be able to interact with you guys, and that you are willing to come here and listen to me ramble on about why I don't use my cat's proper names or remember my cat's proper names. Which doesn't matter anyway, because they're not going to come when I call them. Although, if I snap my fingers, most of the time, they'll come over. Although the downstairs cat, one loves to hang out upstairs with me, sleeps in my bedroom, hangs out in the office with me. The other one loves to hang out downstairs and will do yoga with me. But this one upstairs, if I snap my cat, she'll come over and stay with me as long as she gets attention. The little one, the yoga kitty, that would have been a good name for her, by the way. I'll snap my fingers, and she will come running over and get about halfway, and then plop down and look at me like, you got to come the rest of the way. I did my part. I covered the first half. Now get up your butt, get off your butt, get over here, do what you're supposed to do. Which, of course, I always do. So who's the one that's well trained, and which one is the trainer? That's the question. Eric Lapointe says, great Destiny, and thanks for asking. Olga says, thanks, Eric Lapointe. And Olga says, they sound like good cats. They are. And again, they came at just the right time for me. I've mentioned before, the void left with the passing of my father in so many ways. When you're um, when you're a caregiver, and the last 6 months, it was an intensive experience. That I was a caregiver in every single sense of the word, handling things that really felt beyond me. Um, like, I'm not someone who asks a lot of questions like, why am I in this position? You're in this position because you're in this position, because the universe conspired to put you here. Um, and it doesn't do to question, to say why. You just are. Here you are. This is the moment, what it offers. I had to make life and death decisions for my father. It felt beyond my capabilities, and yet I found myself doing it. Which goes back to what I talk about frequently, the Bhagavad Gita, Tao Te Ching, where they talk about there's no doer, but everything gets done. There's no actor, but there's action. Um, and that's, I felt, was going on. But as a caregiver, when that one person that you care about is gone, what do you do? So I was bereft. It's the perfect word. Um, not knowing, what am I going to do? Cats provided company. Not that I was like truly lacking. I had and have Mocha. As well, I split house expense. The house I grew up in, my brother and I inherited the house. We're splitting it. It's just easier. But one thing I decided, that as a caregiver, even if you place in that position outside of your own personal violation, you just find yourself there, but you become what you're meant to be in that moment. And I became a caregiver. When that moment was over, I still felt that great care. What was I supposed to do? Continue being a caregiver, but broaden the definition. Now I get to care about everyone I come in contact with. I take all that stuff I learned from making those decisions with my father, all the stuff that was vital for me. It's why I decided after 30 plus years of meditation to become a certified meditation teacher, because breath work was so important for me getting those moments of peace in between caring for my father, which he greatly encouraged because he knows how demanding the job is. My father himself was never demanding. He gave even when he was suffering. That was my father. That still is my father. He still gave me this beautiful home. So, teaching meditation, teaching yoga through the path of meditation, is my way, as well as breath work, as well as coming here and having these conversations, is my way of continuing being a caregiver. Destiny says, teach your cats yoga and it may make them more friendly. I think my cat heard you, Destiny, as she just meowed at me. The other one, the little one, loves to do yoga with me. And she's a natural yogi. I actually wrote about that about a year ago. I might have to read that again sometime. Eric Point says, is there a cat pose? It is a cat pose. Part of my morning routine. Very good for the back. And Eric says, that's the moments that make us. It surely does. It's the moments that make us. I agree. Yeah, I always read. You guys remember the plane crash in the Potomac River in the 1980s in winter, not far from the Capitol. Um, and it broke through the ice. People were, a lot of people were sinking in the water before the rescuers could get there. And when the rescuers did show up, not everyone was able to reach it. One man um, went in the water and started helping people. He was on the plane, and I believe he might have been injured. Uh, but he helped one person get to the rescuers, and instead of getting out, he went back in the water, got another person, and another person. Somewhere along the line, exhausted, he sank down and never came back up. That moment called for a hero. If you'd have asked him on the plane, are you a hero? He'd be, I'm just a guy. Um, so yeah, I agree with Eric. The moment opens us to those expectations. Uh, Salina says, Yogi, are you a yogi? Yeah, I'm a yogi practitioner. I'm a guy who does yoga. Eric Lapointe says, how I've never heard this story. That's incredible. It is incredible. And it should be Googleable. Googleable. Plane crash, Potomac River. I'm going to look this up real quick. And then I'm going to have to say goodnight. So 1982, January 13th, 1982. Air Florida Flight 90. You could Potomac River plane crash hero. And it comes up. Lenny Skutnik, passenger on the plane. There was two, actually. Arlen D. Williams, should definitely not forget either one. Passenger on the plane, died after being pulled into the water while helping others out of the Potomac. And Lenny Skutnik, a federal employee who dived into the water to rescue passengers, was heralded as a hero. He survived, Lenny Skutnik. The other one, Arlen D. Williams, that's the one I was referring to, died after being pulled into the water while helping others. Absolutely amazing. And then, of course, the story, I don't remember his name. They made a movie about it. Heartbreak Ridge? Nope, not Heartbreak Ridge. Anthony Garfield, I don't remember his first name, is the actor who played he was a Seventh-day Adventist who joined the army in World War II as a pacifist, refused to carry a gun, became a medic, was ridiculed because he wouldn't carry a gun. And he single-handedly rescued like an outrageous number of people. Eric Point says, good night, everyone. I'm also going to check this out. Great stuff. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for being here. Yeah, let me know what you think when you read that stuff. Destiny says, still here, listening. I appreciate that. Selina says, It was the early days of handheld vidcams, and bystanders got footage. Well, I didn't know that. Kate says, I'm still here, Yogi, just working and listening. I appreciate you being here. Hello to everyone in the chat. I missed in the chat. I figured. So, appreciate you guys checking in. Gonna call it a night. And again, I really enjoyed this chat. Anytime we get to talk about music and creativity, things that have shaped us in the past and continue to do so. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Destiny Forever Walks, PhD. You never forget adding that on because it's important to salute that incredible achievement and how much she shares with all of us and how much she gives and gives and gives tirelessly. Absolutely amazing. And our new friend, Selina. I am practicing. Man, I appreciate you coming in and sharing so much and offering so much. Eric Lapointe, thank you very much. I'll go, my friend. Man, I absolutely love talking art with you and other stuff as well. Just life stuff, you know. Thanks for sharing about your great uncle. Very much appreciated. Fetty popped in. Appreciate that. And our friend Laradox. If you guys aren't subscribed, check her out. I'm going to spend some time there. I haven't in the past, but I'm going to now. And it looks great. And I'm not going to forget Milka McCarty, even though she refuses to high-five me and has for 23 plus years. But one day, a boy can dream. It is what it is. Was here too. Very much appreciated. Lewis, thank you. I was hoping our friend Duncan Walsh would show up so I could let him know how much pain and misery he inspired me to go through. So, thank you. Salina says, OBT. Oh, by the way, okay, I get it now. I did a graphic novel about 1990. Hey, if you don't mind leaving a comment on my channel with a link to where we can find that, I will definitely check it out, and I will also mention it for what it's worth for my audience of ones and twos and sometimes tens. I will definitely promote it. I love, man, people who do that stuff. They deserve all the credit and all the help and all the praise that I can give them. And he says, I will try to. Awesome. Appreciate that. So, good night, guys. I'll see everyone tomorrow. I appreciate you all being here. Take care.